Welcome to the channel, folks. Mr. H here for kind of a news flash, bit of a different video today. And today what I'm going to be doing is taking a look at this article, which is why Detective Pikachu will probably outperform Sonic at the box office. Now, the reason why I'm not covering this as just a news piece is because I think it's genuinely important to actually explore the article a little bit more thoroughly rather than just take the highlights, which a lot of people have done when they're quoting this as news pieces. I find this one to be a truly interesting industry video, and I'm sure you guys will agree, because when Detective Pikachu was kind of announced, everyone was like, oh, looks a bit naff here. First trailer was released, not everyone was, enthralled by it, but then after that, the second trailer dropped and started to pick up some steam, and then the Sonic trailer dropped, and then that's when you start to really appreciate how Detective Pikachu got it right. And that's really what we're going to be doing today. Obviously, this is some stupid Peloton advert. We're going to scroll right past that. But the main focus of this video, realistically, is just to take a good look at this and just see whether they've got some valid points, I guess. So in my eyes, obviously, there's a few things to note straight off the top, like from my own personal beliefs, is that the Sonic trailer was obviously atrocious. It was clearly horrible. But they have announced that they're going to rework it. But obviously that's limited. They can't. There's only so much that they can do now because the 3D, the CG model's been made. It's been put in frame. And they're releasing in November, I think, off the top of my head. So there's very little that they can actually do. So it's very, very important to actually note that when we start to discuss this, because although they say that they're going to rework it, and I have the utmost respect for them when they said that, because I genuinely do, there's very little that they can do. So let's take a look at this article. So Pokemon Detective Pikachu hits theaters this weekend, and could be a rarity, a live-action video game adaptation that's a mainstream box office hit. Yeah, I mean, it's already been released now. I think it made about 59 million domestic box office. Don't quote me on that. I've got that in my head from somewhere. So it's done well. It's not done bad at all. I was actually expecting it to do a lot more than that, only because I think that the Pokemon fan base is gigantic. But we'll see what it does worldwide. We'll just obviously see that. Between fan buzz, analyst projections, and some critical praise, Detective Pikachu might just overcome a long-standing pattern of video game box office bombs. It's really important to note, actually, a lot of people say that Detective Pikachu is not a video game adaptation. It really is, because there's a game, a straight-up game, which is a direct adaptation. This movie is a direct adaptation of the game. So, yeah, it is absolutely a video game adaptation. So, as Hollywood races to find new intellectual property to adapt, always the case, video games with a built-in audience of millions could be the next frontier for blockbusters. Yeah, but this is something they've been trying to do for ages, so kind of funny that they're saying this now. But that's something they've been trying to do for so long. Like comic books, and then they, video games, comic books, to video games, and it's just been going backwards and forwards. Obviously, comic books have made an absolute smash hit, but video games never managed to crack it. So the Pokemon flick is the first of two live-action video game adaptations slated for release in 2019. The other is Paramount's Sonic the Hedgehog. It debuted its first trailer last week, and it didn't go over very well. No, it really did not. Fans mocked. If you guys haven't seen the memes for this, that you're in for a good treat. Check out the Sonic the Hedgehog memes. Fans mocked the dated humor. That was literally what I put in there. Was that the humor is outdated, and it's just Jim Carrey being his original self when we were first introduced to him. It's gone now. We can't relive that again. And a lot of people were really harsh on those comments, saying, well, no, of course, humor's humor. It's never outdated. No, it is. Like, humor goes in peaks and waves of fashion and things. So it is absolutely outdated. The vitriol was so bad that Sonic's director said the character would be redesigned before the film's November release. It is releasing in November. That is what I thought. There's nothing that they can do. They could change the face, I'd imagine. but they can't change much. Analysts now expect Detective Pikachu to be a hit for the very reason they say Sonic could be a flop, because it embraces the source material while using a fresh approach, unlike many previous video game adaptations. Audiences have reacted almost completely differently to each trailer on YouTube. The Sonic trailer has 625,000 dislikes on only 351,000 likes, which is crazy. Which is mental by comparison to Detective Pikachu's 1.4 million likes versus 68,000 dislikes. And this is important because it's the fan base that are watching these videos. It's people that would be watching these movies. So it's important to note these things. The like-dislike ratio is not indicative always, but it definitely has a say. And it is definitely... You can project some stuff with that. So this is just a bit of the tweet from Jeff Fowler. He said the message is loud and clear. We're going to change the design, basically. But this is where the interesting part comes in. So this is from industry analysts, right? So what makes an analyst an analyst? Absolutely no idea. But these people do actually have some quite big positions, I guess, in companies. So Sonic reminds you of all the bad video game adaptations that have been put out, says Jeff Bock, senior box office analyst at Exhibitor Relations. The fact that they got it all wrong here on their first swing is a bad sign. It absolutely is. But I still think you really do need to give them props for listening to the fan base. I think that is absolutely important to note. And I do think as well, the second trailer that Sonic drops that will tell us everything. That will say to us whether or not the first trailer was just marketing hype. Because if they come out with a second trailer and the design is completely different, he's reshaped, so he's a different size, that to me would indicate that actually the first trailer was just a marketing ploy. So we need to wait and see. But it's really important to note these things as we go through. So Bock calls video game adaptations a dark mark in Hollywood's history. He's not wrong, with the few exceptions like Angelina Jolie's Lara Croft Tomb Raider, blah, blah, blah. These are not really that good, bad examples. The 1993 Mario battle, Mario had little, God, my eyes, just get my glasses out, in common with the video games, with few of the fanciful characters, designs or settings beloved by fans. Box says he gets a similar feeling from Sonic's trailer. Yep, I mean, anyone said that. Any YouTuber that discusses movies has been saying this. I don't understand why you need to get a senior box office analyst to tell you that. Anyone has been saying this. To be successful, you need to take a page from Marvel and really appease the hardcore fans. I don't think that's really the case. You're kind of showing your lack of knowledge there, mate. Because with respect to saying you need to take a lead from Marvel, it's not. No. You need to be faithful in aesthetic to get people on board initially, but there's very little that Marvel do which is actually direct from the comics. They're just adaptations, they're reimaginings. So you're not, they don't do that much realistically to appease the hardcore fans. Not in my eyes. Correct me if I'm wrong. If you're a hardcore Marvel fan of the comics, whether do you feel appeased? Because I'd be interested to know. So this is the comparison that I wanted to get to, which I think is important. So Detective Pikachu, on the other hand, completely nails the world of Pokemon. And it really does. So I've done my movie review, which I'll link down below. I really liked that film. The world building was incredible. It was really, really good. It's definitely a kid's film. It is not a massively adult film. If you're 30-something, you're probably not going to really... Don't expect to go into it loving it. I had a good time though, and it was a breath of fresh air from the type of movies which we have been getting for some time. So, according to IGN editor-in-chief Terry Schwartz, after an early screening, that's what she said anyway. Yeah, that's true. Even though we can't always trust IGN. The amount of detail specific to the property that's packed into every corner of the frame, it really feels like it's made by people who love Pokemon, which hardcore fans will appreciate absolutely. So, there's a few other bits and pieces that they note on this. They say that, meanwhile, Sonic's trailer featured Coolio's Gangster's Paradise. Which, what the hell, where was the relevance there? which only seems connected to the video game by virtue of also being released in the 1990s. Absolutely. Like, it's such an out-of-place thing just to chuck in there. So Willems described Sonic's big screen design as a bizarre hybrid. Yep, it looks like something you should just abort at the first scan. Jim Carrey is not the box office powerhouse he used to be. He's absolutely not. If anyone knows, I can't remember what the movie is. It's where Jim Carrey was essentially being a just absolute douchebag on set. Jim and I, or something like Jim and Andy. That's the one. Watch Jim and Andy. If you want to know why Jim Carrey has completely gone downhill and why no one hires him anymore, watch Jim and Andy. I think it's called Jim and Andy. That will tell you everything as to why Jim Carrey is not in movies anymore. That's like the start of his downfall. Absolutely. So it seems like they have the world of Pokemon and are telling a story within that world rather than trying to take the structure of a video game and applying it to a 2-hour film. Yes, absolutely. They literally, in terms of Detective Pikachu, they just took the world of Detective Pikachu, of the world which is pre-established, and just telling a story in the world. I mean, it is quite literally just a direct adaptation of the game. Whereas with Sonic, you're taking a property which is very difficult to adapt because the core functionality of the game is not story-driven. It's collect rings, gold rings. That's the core functionality of Sonic. So it's quite difficult to adapt. And I think this is the problem, is that it's all well and good saying that you want to adapt video game properties, but you're adapting the wrong types. You know, adapt a story-driven game and just do the same story. That's why Detective Pikachu has done well. In terms of its narrative structure, because they're just adapting the same story which is in the video game. So, like, it's not rocket science. People like the game for a reason. Madness. So this has to open huge, box says, but it doesn't seem like this is going to catch on with anybody but young kids or maybe families. So obviously that's in reference to Sonic, because Sonic is in an even worse position because it faces stiff competition opening weekend, including an adaptation of Stephen King's The Shining sequel, Doctor Sleep, and just 2 weeks later, Disney's expected box office behemoth, Frozen 2. My God, I did not know that. Sonic is going to be utterly destroyed. So, as it states, everything they could have done wrong, they did do wrong with that trailer. Yes, and that's the end of the article. But I thought I would just go through it rather than just discuss it piece by piece, and just take out the highlights. I wanted to go through it and kind of talk my way through it, basically. What do you think of this? Sonic, do you think that they can be redeemed? Do you think it was a marketing ploy? And if it was a marketing ploy, do you still think it can be redeemed based on what they gave us in the trailer? Because the trailer still gives us the information of what the film's going to be. So even if it was a marketing ploy with the design, do you think that they can redeem themselves with a good movie? Let me know your thoughts down below in the comments. As always, if you're new here, guys, please do hit subscribe. If you like this particular format of video, do let me know down below. I'm not looking to make this a regular thing, but if you guys like it, it's always good feedback. It's really, really good to know. Guys, you may not be aware, but I do actually have a Patreon page, so if you want to support the channel... Oh. Okay. Thanks very much for that pop-up. If you do want to support the channel, you can head on over to my Patreon page. The link is down below in the description box. As always, guys, thanks so much for watching. I have been Mr. H. Take care.